One of the things that's important for an engaged classroom is to make sure that there's space for a whole person and not just one aspect of the person.
We have kinesthetic learners who learn really well through movement. We have our auditory learners who want to hear things, our visual learners who need to see them. There's lots of different learning styles. So using multiple modalities when teaching is really important so that we can give all of those students access to the curriculum.
There are so many different ways, and it has to be unique to you as an educator. How do you want your students to respond to you? What's a part that brings a piece of your personality into it so that they're going to relate to that and relate back to you?
So in the elementary level, we tend to do chants or songs. A lot of teachers do plays in their classroom. All of these are examples of ways to help students process the information in different ways. If you're doing math, even having hand movements that go with 5, 10, 15, 20, anything you want to do to help them memorize things. We've all had those students that fidget a lot, maybe tap on their desks, don't sit really well for long periods of time. Let's harness that energy to help them learn. Another important element of creating an engaging classroom environment is the actual engagement of parents and families. Research has shown that students whose families are more engaged in the classroom and the culture of the school actually get better grades and have better self-esteem regarding their own learning.
So an engaged classroom for middle school can be challenging. We know middle school students' hormones are going crazy and they often have a lot of attitude, so we have to think about multiple ways to reach them. While we want to do a lot of the same things that we do with elementary school, showing multiple learning styles, music, dance, theater, and visual art, we also want to catch them off guard. So one way to do that with call and response is that you say something and you get a response back from your students. Some artists create a call and response that's based on their art form. So we have worked in the past with a spoken word artist that will say word, and then all of us students say word up. Or something that we often use is to do a call and response where we say, hello artist, and the students shout back, hello artist. One of the other things that's really important with middle school is to reach the students where they're at and understand the world that they're living in. Right now, we're living in a really complicated time, and we want to address that with our students. So when something comes up, whether that's something directly in the classroom, like some bullying that you might see, or something that's happening in the world that they're feeling around them, sometimes you need to just put your curriculum aside, put your lesson plan aside, and address them directly. And talk about what they are feeling and how they can make changes and utilize that to create a piece of art.
For an engaged classroom, it's really important to make space not just for the purpose that we're there for, but for the human beings who are there. We typically spend, somewhere between 20 and 25 minutes or so at the beginning of rehearsal getting a chance for the rest of the person to arrive, not just the body. And that way we have a sense of what the emotional and energetic landscape is before we ever start working on the scheduling stuff and before we ever start working on the music, which is the why we're actually there. Check-ins is an opportunity for each person to have about a minute to share whatever it is that they need to share so that they can be seen, so that they can be heard, and so that they can be supported or celebrated in whatever way that they feel that they need to, so that they can be present for rehearsal. Other things that are really important in terms of grounding and norms, these are part of building the container and building the culture of a group. Things that affect presence, like we have a no cell phone policy. If you need to send a text to a parent or you need to make a phone call or receive a phone call, you ask permission and you go out front so that that energy is not brought into the space where we're actually working. So differentiating between the space where we're working and the space where other things can happen. Take breaks so that people can have a chance to refresh, and so that if something has come up that somebody really needs to talk about very quickly, there's a space for that to happen too, because at the same time, the person is more important than whatever learning nugget is that we're in pursuit of. For more information, you can check our website, youthandarts.org.